Alright, before we get into the video, do me a favor, like, subscribe, tap that bell so you get notified when I put out more content. And you can even follow me on Instagram, Paint by Curry. Alright, so it's been a couple weeks. Got the 4th gen in the booth. We're ready for paint. Now the bumpers are on the car, trying to cut down on a lot of stuff in here. As you can see, we've got a lot of parts on the stands. So we're trying to cut down on a little bit of too many objects in the booth. Now they are loose. There's a nice wide gap in everything. The bumpers will have to come back off later to get reassembled. But for now they are loose so we can get paint to go down in them edges. Like I stated previously, we're going to candy all this. That way when the T-top's off, you're still going to get that little bit of shine and bling from the color. Alright, so right now, it's time to put some sealer on. Alright, I'm using Omni MP235 sealer, gray, and mixed with MH284 slow hardener and MR188 very slow reducer. It's about 84 degrees in the paint booth right now. I'm shooting this out of my Iwata W400 with a 1.3 tip at 20 psi with the trigger fully pulled. I have the fluid wide open and the fan is just about one turn from wide open. Now I'm trying to run about a 65% overlap. I'm wanting this to go on nice and wet. Sealer is the most important coat of paint you're going to put on. You want to have a nice uniform finish, all in the same shade, before you apply your base coat or color coat, whatever it might be. And at the same time, you want to use it to, it is your corrosion protection. Every time you sand a car, especially a metal panel, you're going to have cut throughs on the edges where you might have some bare metal exposed. And this is going to provide you that corrosion protection. Base coat, color coat does not provide corrosion protection. You need a primer sealer in order to do that. So this is that one coat, one shot deal. Doesn't have to be sanded. We're going to get this all on here and then we're going to sit back for about 20-25 minutes. And then we'll be ready to shoot our base coat on. Alright, so we're getting our silver mixed up. We're shooting Omni base coat M594. This is one of the coarsest silvers you can have. And one little tip with doing this, instead of running this through a strainer through like a PPS cup, take the strainer out, strain your paint directly into the cup. That way you don't have any clogging issues while you're in there spraying. So now we got a direct flow to the paint gun. Alright, so here we go. I'm shooting the base coat with my Iwata Intech, the LS400 Intech model with a 1.3. Shooting at 22 psi for this first coat. The base coat's reduced 1-to-1 with MR188 as well. Like I say, it is cooling off a little bit, so staying a little further away, not quite so heavy on this first coat. But I am trying to maintain about a 75 85% overlap to it, about 14 inches off the panel. Silver can get you in trouble real quick if you're too close and you have too much air pressure. So it's always better to back off on the air a little bit, back off of the panel, just kind of let it fall on there. This will be the first of 3 coats, and then I'm going to check it to see how well I've got coverage on there with my light. So finishing up this 3rd coat here. As I was going through, I noticed a little piece of trash, so I'm going to, or actually a piece of lint, I'm going to get that out using a little dirt pick real fast. And then we're going to check for color coverage. Alright, so we got 3 coats on, checking for coverage. Always take a light in here and look at it. We've got a little bit of blotches. We need about 1 more coat. And then we should be good to go. All right, now on this last coat, I did actually lower my air pressure down to 18 psi, and I'm still about 14-16 inches off the panel, and I did increase my overlap to about 85%. This will help with the metallics laying down and getting good coverage. Like I say, the temperature's cooled off quite a bit to about 76 degrees at this point. So that very slow reducer just lets the paint lay down on there. No dry spray. Everything lays down nice and pretty. Alright, so I'm going to make my metal flake coat. What I've got here is the VWM 500, the custom mid coat. For every 100 milliliters, I'm going to be adding 0.1 by weight of the MF01 Gold Mini Flake from House of Colors. I'm going to add 0.1 of the MF02 Mini Flake Silver. And I'm going to be adding 0.2 parts of the VWM 4405 Red to Gold. So we're zeroed out. I've got 400 mils in my cup. So we're going to be putting 0.4 of the gold. .4 of the silver. We're going to be putting 0.8 in because we have 400 mils. All right, now again, no strainer with the metal flake. Now we've got a metal flake mixed up. We're gonna put one coat on, just one. Now if you notice I had that gun upside down, I always keep it that way when I'm getting ready to use my metal flake because I don't want any of it to settle in the neck of the gun. So I keep it hung upside down, and I always keep it shook and keep it moving. You don't want the stuff to settle in the gun. If you for some reason have to take a break, hang the gun upside down so it doesn't settle in the neck, and then first time you go to spray you're liable to throw a bunch out, or you might not get anything at all, and then you have some inconsistencies. Now, I am still using my Intech, shooting it at 20 psi. I'm just trying to get a light coat on. I don't want it to stand out. I want it to blend in with everything. If you're using a mini flake, it's not very, very large, so you can get away with using a 1.3 millimeter. If you go up to a larger flake, you're going to have to use a 1.4, 1.5, or for your really large flakes, you're going to have to use a 1.7, 1.8 to get it to come out of the gun correctly. And now, like I said, it is not strained. I did not strain this into a cup. It has not seen a strainer at all. Now, if you're wondering what the mid coat is, that VWM 500, simply put, it is base coat with no pigment. So it is a clear base coat. So it mixes just the same, 1-to-1 ratio. Still shooting that MR188 reducer in this. Alright, so I'm fixing to mix up my candy. This time around I'm going to be putting it in my clear coat. We're using the VC5700 clear coat. Now I'm going to mix this at a 4-to-1 ratio before I even reduce it. So four to one on the cup. All right, now I'm going to stir this up, and I'm going to actually put the hardener in it and the reducer, and then we'll be ready to spray. All right, so the first coat of candy, this is in the clear coats. This is VC5700 clear coat. It is a 2-to-1 reduction clear. So this is a very strong candy mixture, especially at 4-to-1. The normal recommendation is 8-to-1. If you haven't never sprayed candy, I do not recommend attempting to play with ratios. I've sprayed this about 10 times. I know exactly how much I want to put in there for the darkness level I want to achieve, and I don't want to put but about 3 coats of this on. I don't want to stay in the booth spraying 6 or 7 coats of candy, so 3 coats is where I'm going to be done. So I don't recommend you doing this unless you've got some experience spraying candy. Now I am using my regular clear coat gun, which is a WS400, shooting at 29 psi. The fluid is only about 4 turns open from being closed, and then my fan is adjusted about 1.5 turns in, and I'm maintaining about a 75% overlap on this first coat. You really have to get it on there. You don't want to streak it, especially in the first coat. If you mess the first coat up, you're never going to get it out for the rest of the job. Alright, now when it comes to the side of the car, you have to treat the side of the car as if it's one continuous panel. You can't stop midway down and just paint your quarter panels and then paint your door and paint your fender. You need to walk the entire length of it, still trying to maintain that 75% overlap, and just keep going back and forth as if it's one giant panel. Alright, time to change cups. I always make 2, sometimes I'll make 3 cups full, and I can go in there and just swap the cups out on the gun and keep on rolling instead of hopping out the booth and trying to refill one. Makes things go a little faster and a little smoother as you're going through. Alright, now after I get this coat on, I'll be waiting about 10 minutes, and I'll check it with my finger somewhere, make sure it's good and tacked up before I move on to the second coat. Alright, second coat. Now if you notice, I'm always starting at the back of the paint booth. This is a semi-downdraft booth, so the air is coming in from the ceiling at the rear and it's exiting at the front wall. So I always begin at the rear, especially when I'm spraying clear coat of any sort. That way all of my overspray that's landing on the front end of the job will get melted in as I spray that fresh clear over top of it. Now if you notice on the front bumper, I'm treating that big front square area, the center of the bumper, as part of the hood, as one panel. Alright, time for our third and final coat of candy. Been about 15 minutes since I sprayed that last coat. Now at this part in the evening, it's about 72 degrees outside, and I'm still using the very slow reducer. And the hardener for the clear coat is 7795, which is also a high temp hardener. So everything's melting in really, really nice. We are really right on the edge of having some runs. Now, as you can see, one thing with painting cars and pieces, and especially candies, where you want to do every single piece at the same time so it's all exactly the same, is the logistics of trying to get everything set up on stands to have the ability to do it one time. Usually a logistical nightmare. Alright, so this is my final coat. This is actually just regular clear coat. I did not clean the gun, so a little bit of candy that was left in the gun has just come up into the cup with the clear coat. It's not going to affect anything as far as I'm concerned. I just want to put down one clear barrier on top of the candy coats so that when I go back and sand this thing to re-clear it, I'll have a little bit of a buffer layer before I would actually get into the candy coats. All right, now at this point, we're still not done. Everything's candied, but we are gonna come and do racing stripes on the hood and down the trunk lid, and also through the spoiler and part of the back piece. So it's not quite finished, and we do have to re-clear everything. That metal flake makes it look like you threw trash in a paint job, so. Not sure if you can see that, but. So it'll all get completely smoothed off and then re-cleared, and then you'll see the finished car.